The last collection that we'll look at is among the most useful, and that's the dictionary. The dictionary allows you to associate a key, which most often is not an integer, with a value. Let's say you want to create a collection of the capitals of all 50 states. You could create an array of 50 strings, but remember that with an array you have to index using an integer. And so if you want to find the capital of Arizona, you would have to say state capitals offset 2. That's not so difficult, but there's no easy way to remember that Massachusetts is the 21st state alphabetically. It would be much more convenient to store the capital with the state name, and a dictionary allows you to do just that. Here I've declared a dictionary. Inside the angle brackets, I need to put the type for the key and the type for the value. In this case, they're both strings, although they certainly don't have to be. I've named my dictionary capitals, and I've newed up the dictionary of string, comma, string. In order to add to the dictionary, I call the add method, and I pass in 2 values. The first value is the key, the second value is the value. In this case, the key is the name of the state, and the value is the capital of that state. Notice that I got lazy around Arizona and just dropped in a couple more states. To extract a value from the dictionary, I use the index operator, the square brackets, but rather than putting in an integer, I put in the key that I'm looking for. What I get back is a value, and I can display that value, as you'll see when we run this application. And sure enough, I get back the value Boston by passing in the key Massachusetts. In the typical use of a dictionary, the key would be short, but the value might be fairly complex. Let's create a class and make a dictionary of objects. To do that, we'll go to our project and add a new class. We'll call the class State. Let's make the class public and give that class a couple properties. Here we have a class State that has 3 properties: the capital, which is a string, the population, which is an integer, and size. We'll use an integer for size as square miles. And we have a constructor. Let's add a static method to our state that will get back a collection of states. Here we've created a getStates method that returns a dictionary of string, comma, state. That means that the key will be a string and the value will be a state object. To get started in this method, I create a temporary variable called states, which is a dictionary of the type we need. That is, it takes a string as its key and a state as its value. I then instantiate a state, new state, passing in the capital, the population, which obviously I've made up, and the size in square miles. Again, I've made that up. I then add to the dictionary a key, in this case Alabama, and the state I just created. Let's create another state to add. My second state has Juneau as the capital and a population and size, and I add that to the dictionary under the keyword Alaska. We'll go with just 2 states for now to keep this simple, so the method will return that dictionary. Back in our program, let's take out what we have already in here, and we'll just comment that out for now. We can declare a variable called the states, and set that equal to, and now we can call the static method onState, which is getStates. GetStates will return that dictionary where the key is a string and the value is a state. Because we used the keyword var, the compiler will determine the correct type for the states, and as you can see, it has determined that it's a dictionary with a key and value. And it has also determined that the key is of type string and the value is of type state, defined in dictionary demo, which is this application. So var, very powerful, gives you great flexibility and still keeps that type safety. Once again, we can retrieve one of our states by using the index for the key. What I wanted to retrieve is the string, the capital of Alaska. Remember, the states returns as its value not a string anymore, but a state. So when I say the states index Alaska, I get back a state object. I can then use dot notation to retrieve the capital from that object. And when we run this, we should see that the capital of Alaska is Juneau. And sure enough, we do. I could, instead of retrieving the string, I could have chosen to retrieve the state and then use that state to populate a write line with the population and the size. So now we use a variable, the state, which is whatever we get back from the states giving the key Alaska. That will be of type state. We can then call a write line and say the capital of Alaska is first substitution parameter, its population is substitution parameter, and it is substitution parameter square miles, and use the state to access the capital, population, and size. Let's run that. And sure enough, we get the results that we had put into the dictionary.